and let's talk about Netflix's Daredevil TV show.
What?
Yes,
What?
yes,
Netflix? Daredevil?
Netflix, Daredevil. Yeah, so Netflix has been making some pretty good shows. If you haven't checked out Marco Polo, I believe we're going to do a review on it next week. So check us out. I'll give you a full rundown. We also did a story on it earlier. Very good show. Very good show. I've enjoyed it so far. But Netflix has teamed up with Marvel to release about 4 different series, and we've talked about this on and off. But their first series that they're going to have come out is going to be about Daredevil. Now, Daredevil, yeah, go ahead and forget what you saw in the movie. Actually, producers recently were releasing images for the new show, and one of the producers came out and said that it is going to be the exact opposite of Ben Affleck's Daredevil movie, and they want to compare the tone of the show to movies like The French Connection and Taxi Driver. Which I thought were
Daredevil is going to not be blind this time.
yes, yes, he will not be blind and have like
He'll be
sonar.
able to see. Because
That'll
it's the
be
exact opposite.
that is,
He'll also be a woman.
yes, yes. He will not be a white man. He will be a black woman. There you go.
Yeah. A
And
black seeing woman.
yes, yes. And Elektra will be a Asian man. I don't even know.
That's
Yeah, Elektra
blind.
is
Elektra will be
that
blind.
is blind. There you go. That is blind. Yeah, Elektra will be blind. Actually, I don't even think Elektra's in the show. But yeah, so that was interesting. And you have other comments like from Stephen DeKnight. He was this. I believe he's the showrunner. He told Entertainment Weekly that they're looking for a little grittier and edgier than Marvel's gone before. Because we all know a lot of the Marvel movies. Like look at Guardians of the Galaxy. They didn't want that to be a gritty movie. They wanted that to be kind of a fun movie. Yeah, it's got a little bit of action. It's PG-13, but it's kind of a family movie. They wanted that to be more fun, comical, with a little bit of slapstick action and some good action in there. Look at the Avengers tone. Yeah, there's some serious moments to some of those, but none of those have been like really like dark or anything like that. Like you haven't gotten anything the tone of Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight series. So they're really going for a more dark and grittier edge with that. And then you also have the Marvel TV head, Joseph Loeb. He said, we've always approached the show as a crime drama first and a superhero show second.
That's probably a
So,
good way of going about it too, because then you're not just banking on the there's superpowers aspect. You can get a real good story in there, and then incorporate the superpowers. That's what a lot of like the best stuff previously did. Like you have a good detective story in Batman,
hmm
supposed to be, but he also is doing it as a superhero. So
But also, I like this not focusing on the superpowers as much, because that's where, if you looked in the early 2000s, after X-Men 2, a lot of those X-Men movies really sucked, because they're just about, hey, look, this guy has this power, he could do that, he can do this, instead of creating a character, giving them flaws, giving them, problems that they have to solve, instead of just going, oh, look, boom, oh, I can do this power, awesome, you know. So that's one problem. A lot of TV and movies will get sucked into that. I don't think there was a really good Marvel movie until they started really focusing on, developing a character, which it seems
like
like that's what they're
Marvel
trying to do.
Studios movie or just Marvel
Marvel in
in
general. I mean, just a Marvel themed movie. Because you had that with the Batmans, with Tim Burton's Batman.
Batman was not Marvel.
Yeah, I said just Marvel theme movies in general. And I was trying to take it out of superhero movies because you did get it with one superhero movie.
Oh, okay.
I was
Maybe.
just saying Marvel properties in general didn't really start doing that well until X-Men 1 and 2 and then blew it for a long time. And then when Marvel's like, hey, we want to control our
Yeah,
own
but
things.
how many Marvel movies do you remember before that? I mean, that was Marvel Studios, but how many Marvel movies do you remember before that? Other than like, I think Hulk was before that, and
The
that's
Ang Lee Hulk sucked. The Marvel Studios one wasn't bad. There
I'm saying
was
that's one movie.
Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck is a Marvel movie that wasn't very
Oh,
good.
yeah,
Um,
back in like the 50s, or
you
60s.
have a
That was
couple
a
of the Punisher
whatever that
movies
was long.
really were pretty garbage. All the Punisher
Blade
movies were
there was
garbage.
a couple good Blade movies.
Blade 2 was good. I didn't really like the other Blade movies.
I thought,
Blade 1, actually, Blade 1, I like Blade 1. Blade 3 sucked, though. Blade 3 was really, really bad. Just was not good. And
yeah, but
then
that
you
wasn't
have the Fantastic
for
Four movies. Both of those Fantastic Four movies were garbage.
yeah. Did those
Um,
come out before X-Men? I thought those came out after.
those came out after X-Men 2.
So there you go. I mean, they had them before like the X-Men series. They had a couple. They had Blade 2. There you
Blade
go.
2, I think, came out in like 2001, 2002. That was after X-Men 1.
Was it?
Hmm.
Okay.
It's just, it's there. It's there. They even had a Captain America movie back in 1990.
I
Straight to
that,
DVD release.
straight
There
to
was
DVD. I
also
don't even count that.
there was also a straight to DVD mid 90s Fantastic Four movie that most people don't realize about.
Okay. Well,
And that was
those
because
clearly
some
didn't go
studio had bought the rights and then never did anything with it, so they just made a movie so that they could say they were doing something with it to keep the rights. And there's been some bad things, but let's get back. We're on kind of a tangent there, but kind of wanted to tell people about Frank Miller and what his impact on the Daredevil scene was. Now, when Frank Miller came out in the 80s, he first started with Marvel. He started making grittier, darker stories for the comics. For instance, when he took over the Daredevil series, he almost immediately changed Daredevil from the goody two-shoes, the guy jumping around, the nice, clean-cut lawyer, to kind of a dark character that you sometimes rooted for, you sometimes didn't. Like, in one of the very first issues, he gets a hold of one of his arch nemesis, I believe it was Bullseye, but I'm not 100% sure, and literally throws him off of a roof in Hell's Kitchen, trying to kill him. And then, when he is not killed, he goes to the hospital and tries to scare him to death by playing a game of two-man Russian roulette. Now, the gun wasn't loaded, but he was still trying to scare this supervillain to death. I mean, that was one of the first times you've ever seen one of our superheroes, especially coming out of that era of the Silver Age of comics. If you look at that, they were a lot more goody two-shoes stories and stuff like that. I believe that's how it goes. And getting that gritty feel, I'm so angry, I have my own flaws, I got these powers, but what to do with them, not always the best thing. And then, Daredevil also, Kingpin was more of a Spider-Man bad guy until Frank Miller took over the series, and then he introduced Kingpin as one of Daredevil's arch nemesis there. So Spider-Man, if you watch the animated series in the 90s, like I did, like you did, you knew that Kingpin was a Spider-Man villain. Mm-hmm. But most people, if you grew up just reading the comic books, you saw Kingpin as more of a Daredevil villain. That's because of Frank Miller. So if you looked at that, that's why they did Kingpin as the big bad guy in the first movie. But again, we'll forget about that. And then also, Frank Miller had everything to do with, he created his backstory where he goes to somewhere in Asia, I believe, and meets the Stick, which is a horrible name for a mentor, but that's his martial arts mentor who kind of taught him how to do all this. He joins an assassin clan. Also, they fight against the Hand clan, I believe it was. That's where Elektra was part of first. She was an assassin for them. Kind of giving him a darker and grittier background story with that. Kind of made him into a ninja, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why with Frank Miller's comics, you saw him wear an all-black thing around him with like a ninja thing on the back. And he didn't don the red suit for a while with Frank Miller. So, yeah, that's a little bit of a background on what Frank Miller brought Daredevil comic book. And so that's looking like that's what they're going to give us with the TV series from Netflix. But let us know. Are you excited about it? Do you not want to see it? Do you like the campy Daredevil from Ben Affleck? Why? But I have to ask the question. Hit us up, comments down below. Of course, at What's My Face on Twitter, Google Plus and Facebook. Always good ways of getting a hold of us.